I'm sure you've heard the term SI joint used before, whether it was by a doctor or a chiropractor in the past. The SI joint stands for sacroiliac joint, and it's made up of three bones. You have the sacrum in the middle, and then you have the two ilium on either side. So the SI joint is on both sides where the ilium meet along with the sacrum. The SI joint can get locked up on both sides, and this can cause stiffness in the area or pain and discomfort. One of the reasons why the SI joint can lock up is due to a tight piriformis. Some other ways of telling whether or not you have a locked up SI joint or if you have what we call SI joint dysfunction is by just taking a look at the hips. So if you stand in front of a mirror and take your two index fingers and place them on the front of the bones, and then take a look at the mirror to see if one finger might be higher or lower than the other. So let's say, for instance, I place my hands on my hips, and then I find those bones, and I notice that my right finger is lower than my left finger. That is an indication that my right ilium or my right hip is rotated downward, and it could also possibly be because my left hip is rotated backwards. So it's kind of creating this shearing effect with the ilium, and it could create dysfunction at the sacrum. Today I'm going to go over a few techniques that you can use at home to free up the SI joint. The first technique I'm going to cover is called the shotgun technique. Now this can be performed with either a soccer ball, a basketball, or even a foam roller placed in between the knees. Or you can even take two fists together and place them in between the knees like so. So what you're going to do is you're going to have the knees bent. You're going to have your upper body completely flat on the ground. And then the first thing you're going to do is you're going to activate the core to flatten the low back on the ground. While you're maintaining this, you're going to squeeze the foam roller with a gentle pressure to start off with. You're going to hold it for 5 seconds. And then you're going to relax for 5 seconds. And we're going to do this 5 times, with each time the squeeze is going to get progressively more intense. So I start off with a lighter squeeze for my first repetition. For the second repetition, I'm going to squeeze just a little bit harder, and I'm going to hold that for 5 seconds. What we're doing with this technique is we're pulling both of the ilium away from the sacrum to create a gap so the ilium can move independent of the sacrum. The next technique we're going to use is for the ilium rotation. So going back to my example when I was saying that my right hip was lower or rotated anteriorly on the right hand side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place both legs up, and since this one was rotated down, I want to bring the hip up in this direction, the right hip. So I'm going to place my right hand on top of my right knee, and I'm going to place my left hand in front of my left knee. So this one's coming down in this direction. So that's the direction that the force of my knees are going in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my knees into my hands, and I'm going to hold that for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to relax. And I'm going to do the same thing with the shotgun method. I'm going to perform this 5 times. Let's say that you do the finger test in front of the mirror and the left hip is lower than the right. Well, that means that my hand placement is going to be different. So the left hand is going to go on top of the left knee, and the right hand is going to go in front of the right knee. And then again, I'm just pushing the knees into my hands. So that's how you perform the ilium rotation technique, or the muscle energy technique for ilium rotation for both directions of rotation.